Kanban system, which Kanban is a visual indicator to do something. So we have like hundreds of products around the shop, and making sure we're stocked on all those products is kind of challenging sometimes. So for the longest time, we would just write the part number down on this board, but then there's that human error when you call to place your order. You get the wrong thing, or you get too many of something, or it's not what you wanted. There's just that miscommunication. So then we thought, well, what can we do to make it better? So we came up with Kanban system, which, like I said, is a visual indicator to do something. So this is our first generation of our Kanban card. Basically what it is this would be like hidden under like there's one more box of DA paper per se, and you physically have to move this card to get to that next box of DA paper. So what we did with the card is this basically says that this is semi-rigid parts repair. It tells you the item number, the quantity that you want, the quantity that you want, where to get it from, who to call, his phone number and fax number. So basically you take this and we would deposit it in this mailbox once a week. But if you can imagine, with all the products we have around here, this is still a lot of reading to do, and we didn't want to read that much. So basically we changed it to our second generation, which was all pictures. Because it's way easier for us technicians to say, oh, that's what I need, that's the product that I use all the time. So it still has all the same information, the description of the product, how many you want, who to call. But now we added this thing here, this GPS coordinate. So now when the product shows up, this goes to the yellow body supply cabinet. This is the yellow body supply cabinet. Card comes back with the product. Literally anybody in the shop can put it away. So, it doesn't have to be that same technician putting the stuff away every time. Also, to help eliminate the human error out of reading the numbers over the phone, we've added barcodes to the back of all of our Kanbans. So now we just go over, scan them on the computer. We know we're getting what we want, how much it's going to cost us right then and there, and it really keeps us from losing or not having materials. Because if we're sitting on a bench waiting for someone to bring us something, we're not making any money. So this is our Kanban system. These are everywhere. Hey Ryan, do you want to show them your thing? Sure. So this is actually Ryan's improvement that he did. As you can imagine, this is our cut-in area, and we used to just jam all this in a cabinet, and it was just an unorganized mess. So this is Ryan's improvement for that.
So what we had before was another cabinet similar to this, and everything was just stuffed in it. Cans stacked behind cans. We couldn't tell what we had, how many of what. So luckily I have access to a buddy here in town that actually has a laser. So I took something to him and we kind of brainstormed, and we came up with this whole system. And you pull one bottle off, you're using it, it goes back. When this one's done, Kanban card is underneath the bottom of it, and then that comes down, that one slides, so it's an indicator that we know how many we have, when we need to order them, and what we use a lot of.
It's just like a beer cooler.
Exactly. That's what I was going for.
Trade it out on the weekends.
That's exactly what it is.
So it was just something simple, easy. Took me a week just in the mornings building it. I just made a frame for it and screwed everything to it and just make it simpler for us.
It looks really nice.
Indicator that we know, a visual indicator that we know what we have.
And with our Kanban cards, all we have to do, it's so super easy for us as technicians to order the product, because all we literally have to do is pull that card and stick it in that mailbox right there. And once a week, somebody comes by and grabs that stack of cards and does the order. So literally, we don't have to worry about anything after that.
Who is that somebody?
So back up. So what we used to do is the technicians, the supplier was down the street, and so the technician would be the only one who knew that we need sandpaper. We have hundreds of products, probably 1,000 products, and they would run out. They would wait till they run out, and here they are sitting on a bucket. I cannot go to fix this car until I call. In that case, it was O'Reilly's, a block and a half away. And I'd say, hey, I need this. And they'd have to get in the car, hot shot it, drive it down here. And here we are complaining about, it took them 15 minutes to get here. Singing slow, Riley, you're blaming them. And then he talked about, taking personal accountability. So we read a book called The QBQ. And it talks about how to take personal responsibility and to know that you can't fix anybody else, I have to fix me. And so they took it upon themselves to say, how can I make this better? So only the technician knows that they need it, right? But do I want a technician on the phone? Do I want a technician to run out? No. Okay, we fixed that problem. Now, do I want a technician picking up the phone to call somebody? No, I want a technician's hands on the car. They're our surgeon. So I don't want them doing that. So the key was, how do we make it to where they can provide the information that somebody needs? Like, hey, I need this. This is what I need. He may tell me what he needs, and I'm going to come up to him and I'm going to ask him a bunch of questions. What do you need? What grit? Where do we order from? All this stuff. And so he answers that on the Kanban. So literally, he drops it in the bucket, and as long as nobody but a technician orders that, I don't care who it is. We have a designated person that does that. But the key is it's not a body technician that's making us money, because everybody here that's administrative, so whether you're a detailer, whether you're a porter, whether you're an estimator, an x-ray repair planner, a manager, a CSR, whatever, none of us make money. Only the technicians who are touching the cars make money. So our goal, all of us, support staff, is to make sure that their hands don't leave a car. And so that's kind of the mentality behind where we got to where we're going. And so literally, I have all the information, like I could hand it to you, who doesn't work here, and you could, it tells you the phone number, who to call, all the stuff, like you could order it, and then it comes in a box, and you know, it tells you where to take it back to. So like in a day, you could be trained and figure it out, but the key is, it's not him, and it's not Ryan, it's the anybody but a technician, but they have the information. And so how do you transfer that information is where the struggle is. And so we want them to move the least amount as possible. So he's only got to go from here and drop it in the bucket, and then he's done with it. Frees up his mind to focus on quality on the car, not, oh shit, I got to manage all this inventory and where it goes and stuff. Somebody else comes over and does that. So literally once a week, somebody grabs a bucket, walks over to a computer, logs in and goes boop, 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 done. Magically arrives the next day. Somebody other than they put it back, and it's there for the next day. They don't have to deal with the BS anymore. No more managing the process. So that's, anybody could order, but we have one person who generally does it, but it's so easy, anybody can step in and do it if that person's out. So that's kind of the struggle. And whenever he kept saying, you know, the personal accountability stuff he was talking about, that book was QBQ. Stood around reading the book, watching videos and listening to audio. We've done all that, and that was huge for our company, the QBQ stuff.
So you guys have a designated person to pick up those Kanban cards once a week?
Yeah, one person comes by, grabs the bucket. So there's one here, and then there's one on the paint side, and then they'll walk over to a computer, scan those in real quick, click go, and that's it. They spend 5
Same
minutes.
person every week? Or does that
It's generally the same person every week, but if they're gone, anybody can step in to do it. We have like the next person is Nick, the first person is Nate, the second person is Nick, but anybody can step in. It's probably so easy. I've never done it, but I could probably even figure it out how to do it. And that's, if they can dummy it down to where I can do it, that's a win.
I think yesterday Jeff did it for his
Did Jeff do it? And he did fine with it?
He had never done it before.
Yeah, cool.
So what about how often do you get paint supplies, right? Because don't your supplies come from Kansas City?
Yeah, so we used to order multiple times a day, whether that was paint, toners, whether that was Duramix and sandpaper, like minimum 5 times a day probably that we would order. Now we order once a week. I mean, maybe once every 2 or 3 months, somebody might hot shot something to us or deliver on a different day of the week.
It'd be like a random toner that we haven't used for a long time. And
But very, very rarely. We order once a week. Now, we had to own and realize that we sucked at inventory controls to get to that point. But I mean, that was part of the QBQ. You know, that's a tough pill to swallow. But we worked through that process, and now we order once a week. And we relied on our vendor to help coach us through that process and help build inventory. You know, they could run a spreadsheet that showed how many of each product we ordered, you know, per year, per month, and we could see the usage. And so that's where we came about the order quantities on the Kanban. There was some statistical analysis to go through and see how do we want to build that process. That was technical, but that wasn't done by them. That was done, you know, by the office.
And we don't have near the waste either. Like a lot of times some of those outside companies will come in and they'll just load you up on stuff that you're really not using. So we order it at the rate that we're using it. So we don't have the wasted products and materials that just sit around on shelves in body shops like normal.
We understand that inventory is waste, and so we don't want that. We see cash sitting on the shelf, and whenever it's a expiring product that you're losing money, not good. But we just know inventory is bad, and we don't want to have to manage it. And so we don't like big boxes, and we don't buy in bulk. We buy just what we need.
So this is another kind of cool improvement here that I'm noticing. So we have came up with standard operating procedures for basically everything we do in the shop. We also kind of use this as a training tool for people too. So basically, if you flip this open, and this kind of makes sure that everyone does everything the same, so quality is the same across the shop. But basically what this is this is standard operating procedures for a body repair. It basically tells you all the materials you're going to need, the safety equipment, and then these are the steps that you're going to take to perform that repair. And then if you still have questions about it after that, there is a QR code right here, and it'll pull up a little 2 or 3 minute video on how to do that. So literally a new guy could come over, read this, and have a pretty good idea of how to perform this procedure after.
Review the process of repairing minor damage such as gouges and minor dents.
No, this is just a video walking through every step, showing you exactly how to do it. It is 2 minutes long.
So we're sort of at this stage where we really understand that we need standard work to get stuff improved. But there's so many procedures, so many products that we make, that it just seems overwhelming and daunting for all of our people to think, where do we even start? So
I feel communication is a big key. Like I know with us, all the spotty guys over here, we've all communicated together, and plus this is how the manufacturer of the product recommends for it to be done, so that helps a lot too. But we all communicate very well over here, so we all know we're all doing it the same together, and if we have any questions, we'll ask the other guy, hey, how do you think I should do this? And we all come up with what we think is the best plan together, or the best way to do it together.
I would start with one thing. Literally, like we have hundreds of products, I would start with one. So how do you eat an elephant? One at a time. And so I would get really good at one thing, whether that's this is how we make this widget or this is how we store this piece of raw material. I would start with one thing and focus on that and get that figured out before you go on to the next thing. Don't try to implement something company-wide all at once. You can involve lots of people for cross-training, but isolate it to an area, and I'll show you over there. So what works good, and like for you who have commission technicians, what works good to teach is a community area. So like this is how we are going, like Paul Akers' bathroom, perfect opportunity. You know, break room, bathroom, something that's a community area. Start there because you can have everybody's input. It's not like this is Ryan's little box in his area. It is everybody uses this, everybody has to go to the bathroom, everybody goes to the break room, whatever it may be, whatever your community area is, start there and dial that in. Then go through and pick one work cell or one process, one of the hundreds of processes, and dial that one in, and you learn while you're doing it. Tweak it, change it, really dial it in well. Then you're going to take everything you learned doing that, and you'll be able to skip a lot of steps whenever you go to that next product. And so it's the key to me is what they learn by allowing them to do it. So you saw his first generation of Kanban. Had they not gone through that struggle of, oh, how do I make this better? Oh, I can make it visual. Oh, I can make it smaller. Oh, I can make it color coded. Oh, I can add a QR code, scan it on the back, all this stuff that I can add to make it easier. If he hadn't gone through, I created one and made it better and better and better. He learned a lot by doing that. And so allowing them to learn is the key. Then they can do it and multiple people can apply it in their own area. But I would do one freaking area, one process, preferably a community area for the first one. Just that's how you build the culture, because everybody can see it and touch it. Like, oh man, I went to go take a crap and there was toilet paper. This is rare. Who knew? I'm adding value to my life. This makes me feel good. And so getting them to kind of take personal accountability and each other, saying, hey dude, you just used the last roll of toilet paper. See the Kanban there? That's telling you to do something. What does Kanban mean? It's a visual indicator, do it. And they hold each other accountable. And that's where you build the culture, is in those, in my opinion, the community.